This is Ben Landesman with Lawson Screen and Digital Products.
This is Deborah Sexton.
This is Peter Walsh with M&R.
Scott Ritter with the Decorated Apparel Expo.
And you are listening to Two Regular Guys
Podcast.
hosted by Terry Combs and Aaron Montgomery.
A gift to the industry.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. It is Friday, May 15th, 2020. I'm Terry Combs, and you can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me over at oursuccessgroup.com, as they would say, as the kids say, right?
No, as kids say.
You can find me over
HTTP :
yes. / www. oursuccessgroup.com. Today, we're going to be bringing in Kristine Shreve, who's with Kristine Shreve Consulting. And obviously, as I say that gives you some clue that, yes, she's made a change. And we want to talk about the process that she went through to get from, okay, here I am, to now I'm doing my own thing. So knowing when to jump. We know a lot of the regulators out there have day jobs, and decorating can many times be a side gig. And so, yeah, these are important questions. So we're going to grill her on that today, Terry. Sounds like a good time.
Aaron, I know folks that in the industry that have been at companies for 20 or 25 years, and every year are saying to me, I just got to get out of here. I'm like, Just do it. Hopefully they're all listening today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And because that company also becomes a little bit of your identity. I know couple companies that I've left, people are like, oh, I thought thought that was your company. It's like, no.
The older I get, the more I get that.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't own this place.
Nice. Cool. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're looking forward to that. Let's check a couple of comments here. We've got Cindy King checking in earlier. Good morning, Cindy. And Todd, good morning. And Jillian says, good morning, Kristine Shreve. You go, girl. Yes, indeed. Excited to talk to her. And thanks very much to Eric for pushing the buttons. I'm keeping my hands away from the buttons today. So Richard, hello. And Tanya and Jane. And yes, checking in. All sorts of fun stuff happening. So we appreciate the regulators tuning in already, and we'll get to that. Terry, let's hit a couple of news items here. Sure. Nothing really new on the DAX Minnesota front. There was an update on Chicagoland that as of right now, they are cautiously optimistic that it will continue as rescheduled. I don't have those dates in front of me. I do actually. Let me get to that. Sorry. DAX Chicago will be happening August 7th through the 8th. So as long as there's not a major setback or second wave or anything like that, the convention center there in Tinley Park has done all of the things necessary to make that a safe event. And hopefully by the time August rolls around, things will be a lot different than they are today. So fingers crossed on that. And then the other note here, Terry, you had talked to the folks over at NBM. Do you want to share that?
Right. The latest last week we announced, and 3 minutes before we went on the air, got a message from Katie over at NBM that the Indianapolis show was canceled. Just got a notice yesterday that NBM Richmond, Virginia, that was scheduled for July 17th and 18th. That has also been canceled, not postponed, but canceled. So,
yeah,
Aaron, and we're running into more and more of those because, as the folks at the shows will tell you, there aren't enough weekends left in the year to make this happen. So, I think we're going to see more cancellations than postponements at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like that's getting tougher and tougher. The further we get, like you said, it's kind of we're getting squished, and if the folks that have had later dates, we talked to Amanda over at SGIA yesterday, and so they're still pushing forward with Atlanta, and anyhow, you'll talk more about that in a second here, but. They're fortunate that they were already later in the year. So,
right.
But anyhow, the other note here, Terry, is that we are doing the Decorators Community Party tonight, and making it a little less formal than we had. So just go to tworegularguys.com/party /party. And all the details are there. So you don't need to sign up for anything. You don't need to do anything. Just click on that link, tworegularguys.com/party. Party.html works too. I've got a redirect there from party, and you can there's a button you can click. There's links you can click that just gets you into the Zoom meeting there. And 7 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Terry time.
Arizona Standard Time.
Yeah, exactly. So 5 o'clock on the West Coast Pacific time, as well as Arizona, and then 6 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern is when we'll get that kicked off. And nothing formal. Terry, I love your idea about make sure you get a appetizer from a local hangout and bring that and show it off. I'm thinking about getting the wings that I got last week. They were pretty good. Or
Very
last
nice.
time, 2 weeks ago.
I may do wings myself this time around again. So, but hey, Aaron, it's pretty informal. We have a lot of fun. Everybody's just kind of chit-chatting. But also, last time the conversation turned to printing on masks and the ins and outs of it and the inks you use and what about the spray adhesive? And I love Lon Winter's comment when somebody said, well, can I use spray adhesive on it? Because you use it on a shirt, but it's on your body, not your face. And Lon's response was, do you put that shirt on some different way than over your head?
Yeah. I mean, it was like I said, it is about a lot of fun, but we did have some really good conversation. Having somebody like Lon Winters there is always awesome, because he's the chairman of the Apparel Decorators Committee over at SGIA, so he was talking about what they're doing and what we can do to kind of, because this is all new territory, we're all trying to figure things out. So it's a really cool opportunity to have some fun, but also a really cool opportunity to talk with other people that are in the same place as you are. So, show up, bring an adult beverage if you have it, or water if you'd prefer, and be part of the conversation. You don't have to just sit there and hang out. You jump in, to ask a question. Well, that's what it's there for. So we're looking forward to doing that again. We're trying to do that every 2 weeks or so. We'll see how long it keeps going. So
as long as the coronavirus holds out, so will we.
So will we. That's right. And then one of these times it'll be a live event from Terry's new backyard. So
exactly right. I'll fire up the waterfall and we can sit at the swim up bar and have a little conversation, and maybe we can get Eric to go down the slide in the background. I think we'd be able to see him on camera if we're sitting at the swim up bar and he's coming down the slide. So.
Yeah, there we go. I can do cannonballs. It'll be great.
Although Eric's a pretty big guy, we might hear, can you guys help me? Can someone help me? I'm halfway down.
Oh man! All right. So what else, Terry? What else is on the news front there before we bring Kristine in here?
Sure. Well, Aaron, you mentioned that we had talked to Amanda at SGIA yesterday, and we're looking forward to fall and making plans. And so the two regular guys are going to have some announcements about our plans along with the folks at SGIA for Printing United. And that's going to be in Atlanta, October 21st through 23rd. And stay tuned for updates. And if you're planning to go, be sure and see us there and maybe come on air with us, because we will be doing some live broadcasting from SGIA, and they're pretty excited about having us there, and we're really excited about being there. So
yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, we're really excited about it, and like I said, they're excited to have us there, and so I think it'll be a good marriage. We're trying to come up with some cool, fun, creative ideas. So if you guys have any suggestions for something that we could do for some added bonus to just really kind of make it more fun and more interactive there at SGIA, well, I guess it's at Printing United. Sorry,
right.
At Printing United there in Atlanta. The SGI has been kind of quiet about Printing United. They said that we're intentionally kind of keeping, they're not trying to scream from the mountaintop about it right now, because they're trying to be I don't know what the best word is, Terry, but they're aware that people like NBM and Impressions and other folks like that are dealing with having to cancel stuff, and so they're just trying to be nice.
Aaron, I talked to the folks from all the different shows, and getting updates for us to announce here on the show. And it's kind of funny because everyone says, XYZ show, it might be the first show of the year. Every single one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Including SGIA about Printing United, October 21st through 23rd. And we're going to reach a certain point in the year where everyone's going to say, okay, well, we're just going to start again in January. And so who knows what's going to happen. But all I know is I haven't been to the airport to get on a plane in some time. So.
There you go. All right. Well, Terry's big book of travels is feeling a little bit lonely right now.
Yeah, it's got a lot of erasure marks in it. So.
It's laying on the ground, not very happy right now. All right. Real quick here, a couple comments. Todd talking about the party tonight says, I can't hang all night tonight. We'll see. Yeah. Famous last words, Todd. And then as far as the live party in Terry's backyard, no Speedos allowed, Aaron. I don't know what I'll do then. It's Speedo or nothing, buddy. So, excuse me, just kidding. All right, so let's see here. What else? Charles says, I'm hoping SGI doesn't get canceled. Us as well. Happy Friday, Janessa, and good morning, Jeff. All right, Terry. Now, one of the things that Kristine put in her contract before she would come on was that we had to do a dad joke.
There it is. Yeah.
So let's contractually obligated. Go ahead, Terry.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm concerned that Kristine has a contract and I don't. But all right. Here's my dad joke. What did the band director call his twin daughters?
I don't know.
And a 1 and a 2.
All right. Well,
that is a dad joke.
Yeah, that is a dad joke. All right.
Well, did you get it? Anna 1, Anna. Yeah. All right, Aaron. Hey, before we get too far in, let's thank everyone who's here checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. If you're listening to the podcast version, we would appreciate you sharing with your friends so that they can become regulators too. We would love and appreciate you to review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you're listening right now. Those reviews go a long way for us. And we are always looking for new guests. So if you have an idea for a show or you'd like to be on the show, go to calendly.com/2. That's the number 2. Calendly.com/2 regular guys. And tell us what your ideas are. If you are watching us live right now, join in with your comments and questions like so many of the regulators do. And reach out to your industry friends and have them join us right now as well.
Doesn't even have to be industry friends, actually, Terry.
Right. It's just friends. If you have friends.
If you have friends. If you've got 1,000 friends on Facebook, I know you're really close with all of them. Tell them to come watch the Two Regular Guys right now. All right. Well, let's hear a word from our platinum sponsor, Impressions Expo. What is Impressions Expo? Impressions Expo, formerly known as ISS, is the premier trade show dedicated to the imprinted and decorated apparel industry. They have 5 shows that are produced annually in each region of the United States, including Long Beach, California, Atlantic City, New Jersey, Orlando, Florida, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and cap off the year at Fort Worth, Texas. Each of those 5 annual shows also feature over 30 seminars and hands-on workshops in categories such as screen printing, embroidery, digitizing, digital decorating, and much, much more. Visit impressionsexpo.com for more details, and while there, use the promo code REGULARGUYSIE for a free expo pass. Again, make sure you visit impressionsexpo.com to get more details. And the Two Regular Guys look forward to seeing you there. All right. Well, thanks very much to Impressions for their support. Looking forward to seeing what they've got coming up here. And I know they're working hard to salvage what they can of the year, as we talked about already. So make sure that you're supporting them. And, just go over there and go on their website or reach out to them on social media and just say, hey, we're here to support you. And the Two Regular Guys sent you. And they'll know we care. All right.
Exactly.
We all just need to know that somebody cares. All right. A couple of quick comments, Terry, before we bring Kristine in here. Alan says, I just logged in and the first word was Speedo. He is a bit concerned and totally understand. Lon says, still can't get the Speedo image out of my mind. I apologize. I apologize. Any psychiatric bills that you may have, we'll figure out something. All right. So, Terry, let's bring in our guest who people really came for here today, and let's find out how to know when it's time to jump.
Let's do it.
All right. So Kristine Shreve is the founder and CEO of Kristine Shreve Consulting, which offers writing, marketing, and business development services. The company can be found at KristineShreve.com. Kristine is also the creator and host of the Business and Women podcast, where the discussion centers around being a business owner and being a woman and how those two states of being intersect. She currently blogs at KristineShreve.com, readingandranting.com, and When I Am Thin. Is that right? Yeah. WhenI'mThin.com, excuse me. On Facebook, Kristine is the founder of the Women in Garment Decorating Facebook group. Kristine was the director of marketing for Instant Emblem and Enmart from 2006 to April 2020. Welcome in, Kristine.
Thank you. I have a couple quarrels, though. Number one is the Speedo thing. And number two, did I sign a contract in my sleep? Because I don't remember having a contract. And if I did, dad jokes probably would not have been on it.
Shoot,
it was one of those click here. If you click here.
Oh, if you click here, you agree. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
It's like your Apple contract. It's like, just to get past it.
You don't know what's in it. It could be.
Yeah, it was so long and ridiculous that nobody would have taken the time to read it. And
the last line is, you owe us, sometime you might have to help us move or kill a man. So,
well, of those two, probably killing someone would be higher on my list. I just got to say.
She is writing a book about all the ways that the decorating equipment in the industry can kill you. So,
very nice.
My mind is a little tilted sometimes. I'll admit.
All right. Well, let's do this, Terry.
Yeah. So, Kristine, before we talk about leaving a job, let's talk about your background in and outside the industry.
Okay. Started in 2006 with a company called Instant Emblem. We started a company. We, as in the owners of the company and myself and some other people, started another company called Enmart in 2008. I basically ran Enmart. That's probably how people know me best. I also have been a guest on this show several times. I've written for industry magazines. I speak at the DAC show. So I'm kind of around everywhere, basically.
An inventor of the term regulators.
An inventor of the term regulators and founder of the Women in Garment Decoration group on Facebook, and now host of the Women and Business podcast. So
excellent.
Right.
Yes,
there you go.
You are around everywhere. Wonderful.
I am around everywhere. You can't get rid of me.
We love it. We love every bit of it. She's also our unofficial writer on the show.
Yes, and my contract specifies that I'm supposed to get paid in M&Ms, and I have not seen any M&Ms. So
we're still picking the green ones out.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, we're still trying to.
Chocolate peanut M&Ms. This is supposed to be my payment.
I got you.
I got specific.
They were supposed to be in that package that's showing up for you from Todd. So I don't know if he got the memo or not.
I'm excited about that package because I think I'm going to have to do an unboxing video or something to see what's in there.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about here, Todd has been threatening to send Kristine a package full of alcohol for the decorators community party, and apparently that may have happened via FedEx because he forgot until the last minute. So we'll see how that goes tonight at the decorators community party. So that'll be fun. Well, so Kristine, everyone's considering taking that plunge to start a new career. But few actually do it. So let's start there. Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of people, honestly, are scared. I mean, it's a huge, I know before I made the jump and the circumstances in which I made my jump were kind of unique and specific to the time period that we're in right now. But I've been thinking about it for a long time and debating it back and forth. Can I do it? Do I know enough? There are a lot of people, and I had this a little bit too, who think that you have to know all the answers to everything before you can jump. And the thing is, you're never going to do that. But I was it kind of hit me like a couple days after you guys were so kind as to announce that KristineShreve.com was a thing and Kristine Shreve Consulting was a thing. I went through this whole period where I was like, I don't know enough to do this. Somebody's going to ask me something and I'm not going to know the answer, or I'm going to join I'm going to look for a business coach, or I'm going to join our success group or something. And everybody's going to go, she doesn't know anything. And, why would we work with her? And it really was like, but then one of the things that I'll say has been really valuable is going to the cocktail party and talking to people who are already in business who said, I got a business coach, or I got tons of advice from these people, or I went to this website or whatever it was. And I was like, okay, everybody's doing this. So I don't have to know everything, and nobody's expecting me to know everything. But I think a lot of it too is just, even if you're not particularly happy where you are, if it isn't fulfilling you for whatever the reason, it's still a steady paycheck that you can count on.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at it and going, well, that was, like I said, the circumstances under which I made my jump were pretty unique. But prior to the virus and everything, I was looking at, if I jumped, my only support was like whatever I had in savings and whatever I had coming in from the side work that I'd been doing. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things you have to figure out. So I think that's why a lot of people, and then there's the whole, imposter syndrome thing. Who am I to say that I should have my own business, or I have something to offer, and all that kind of stuff. That's in there too. So there's a lot of factors, I think, that can keep someone from doing it. And also my situation, I'm single, I have no kids. So the only one that this impacts is me. If it craters and I'm living in a box under a bridge, it's just me. So, there's kind of two, because if you have a family and you have a spouse or a significant other or whatever, it impacts them too. But you also have the support of maybe they're making money while you're not, and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a catch-22. But for me, it's like, if I make this decision and it totally craters, I'm the only one that gets hurt by it. So,
Yeah. So, I agree. I mean, it's a lot about the fear, but then taking into those other considerations, and then, like you said, getting out there, seeing the fact that it's, you're not alone, and other things like that. So it makes a lot of sense. I think probably a lot of us have been there in different times of change in our lives.
Well, I have to say, one of the things that really helped me was the cocktail party 2 weeks ago. In somewhere near the very beginning, people were talking about that they were a little worried about money, and some people had done forbearance on their mortgages. And I was like, I'm not the only one thinking about this stuff. Yeah. And it helped so much to just hear that people who had established businesses of their own were thinking about these same things. So it's not me being a screw up or not knowing what I'm doing or whatever. It's like a universal thing. Helped a ton.
Yeah. Great.
Awesome. Well, so Kristine, outside of I want out, what? And it's funny. I was thinking about this when we were preparing for this show, and I talked earlier about you talk to people all the time who just talk about leaving their job and just can't bring themselves to do it. It's the devil I know, I guess, or rather than the devil I don't know. But so, what would you say are the steps to planning a departure from the position you're in?
I think the first thing you need to do is get realistic, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to leave and I'm going to have all this free time and I'm going to be able to set my own hours and I'm going to be able to sleep in when I want and I can go get ice cream in the middle of the day and, or I don't know, have a drink or whatever you want to do. I go to ice cream, sue me. But,
delicious.
Ice cream is delicious. So I think because I know I've heard that from a lot of people, is very much, You know, I'm going to have all this freedom and I won't be stuck with a 9 to 5 and I won't have to commute and and I can work in my pajamas and all this. And it's like, yes, all those things are true, but you're also going to have to deal with, what if I don't get paid right away, and asking people to pay you, which that's kind of just part and parcel of having a job where you work for someone. The agreement is I come in and work for you and you give me money. It doesn't, while that same thing should translate over, it doesn't always. You have to specify, my work is worth this much money. You have to chase people sometimes to pay you. There's a whole different kind of dynamic around how the money gets to you. And the money doesn't always get to you when you need it. You have to plan for that too. So, there's a lot of different factors, I think, that kind of you need to figure out before I did a ton of reading. I talked to people. There's a really good book, and I meant to write down the author's name before we started this and I forgot, but it's called When to Jump. And it's basically what the author calls jump stories, where people were doing something and decided to do something else. And that was really helpful because it was stories from all sectors of the business world, and, people who wanted to quit and go play sports, who wanted to quit and go be artists, who wanted to quit and go run another type of business. So that was really helpful too. But it's just talk to everybody you can talk to, read everything you can read, write down how you think it's going to be, and then go to people who are already doing it and say, is this really how it's going to be? Because they will probably laugh hysterically at you and go, no.
Yes.
Kristine, something that I often say in this class in this podcast and in my classes is being an entrepreneur gives you the freedom to work all the hours there are in the day.
Well, and that was one of the things that I took under advisement. One of the advantages that I had was I had seen all of you guys that do this and talked to you and heard these stories and knew. So I was like, I had a very realistic understanding of the time that this was going to require, and that I wasn't going to be sitting at home having a drink and, watching something on Hulu or whatever, Amazon Prime. But 9 to 5 is not, I see Susan left a comment here where she said 9 to 5, is that really a thing? Nope.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, and Terry will probably know this one too. When you're a writer, it's even worse because the idea can wake you up at 2 a.m.
All right. Yeah.
And you're like, oh crap, I got to write that down because I will never remember this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
No, that's totally true. I had that happen to me on Wednesday. Got home from doing a training class that we put on Wednesday. And I was wide awake at 1 o'clock, and it was 3:34, I think, by the time I was finally got it all out of my head and onto paper. And it was like, oh man, this sucks because, had to still get up the next day. I think that's really an interesting point that you make here though, Kristine, that having that perspective, having that understanding of things, when my wife left her quote unquote 9 to 5 job to start WeHeart.biz, she had some of those ideas. She's actually said now, she's like, oh yeah, I thought, it'd be great. I could, work when I want, and, the house would be clean, and I'd be able to spend all this extra time with our son and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I think the house is fine, and it's not your job to clean the house; it's our job. And this is life. This is the way it goes. You have to put the effort into it. So there are some freedoms that you get because you can choose when you're going to do that work. But like Terry always says, yes, you have the right to work every hour of every day. So
well, and the other thing that you just pointed out that I think is another point that we kind of need to make is, for when I had the idea for the Women in Business podcast, I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm so excited. Then I was confronted with the fact that I had to figure out how to air it, how to publicize it, how to find the guests, how to do the research, how to, eventually you get smart and hopefully you have enough of an income that you can hire people to do the stuff that you either don't have time to do or aren't very good at or whatever you want to do. But when you start, it's you. So every time you go, oh my God, this is the best idea ever, then you have to do the follow through to make the idea an actual thing.
Well, or you have to be very persuasive, like Aaron and I, in convincing Eric that doing producer work for free is a good idea. So,
or you have to get saps like me who come to you and go, hey, I have an idea for a podcast. Can I have your platform once in a while? And then you guys get the day off.
Sure. Here's the difference, I think, than the quote 9 to 5 or punching the clock. And many people out there who are working 9 to 5 are not punching a clock, but they're obligated to be there at 9 to 5 or whatever. I think the difference when you make a jump is you're jumping to something that you love to do, and you don't mind putting the hours in if it's something you love to do. And I think that's a huge difference there. I had someone at a seminar once. She raised her hand and getting into the garment decorating business, and she said, "So if I take a 2-week vacation," and she went and started asking her question. And people started snickering around the room. And then I started to laugh. And she's like, what? And I'm like, that 2-week vacation that you take from your regular job, you're never doing that again.
Yeah, you never have that again. Well, and the other thing I think that you need to be really aware of is when you jump, you have to know why you're doing it. And it has to be for more than, I don't like where I am.
Yeah.
And that's still something I'm working out a little bit. I had an idea in my head when I did it, and now that's already started to morph a little bit. But there has to be an underlying reason that's more than I don't like where I am.
Yeah.
You have to have something that's pushing you to, and it could be, I like interacting with people. It could be I like teaching people. I want to make an impact in a certain, whatever it is, doesn't really matter as long as there's something there. Because if you don't have that underlying reason, you're not going to stick it out because it's just going to be too much.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. And in fact, at our success group, we talk about that all the time. We're going through a business planning series right now of the 5 keys. And the first thing we started and spent an entire session talking about determining your why, getting clear about, why you've decided that you want to do this business and what's the thing that you're going to create that's going to help others, and is that meaningful enough to you to put up with the, I might not be getting paid today, or to put up with the bad customer, or the like you said, the fear of not knowing how to do something. And it's very powerful if you get it right, but until you get it right, it can also be very scary. So.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Well, let's keep moving here, Kristine, because we're getting a lot of great information. Thank you very much for all of it so far here. Let me just make sure I hit a couple of comments. If I scroll up just a little ways here. Sheila said when you were talking about, pricing and putting kind of a value on yourself, she said, you need to put value on yourself when, what is your time and knowledge worth? So many times we shortchange ourselves, which I think is a very good point. And then James Orlani just said, garment decorators are a group of folks that will work an 80-hour week just to keep from getting a 9 to 5 job, and a regular job. So I think that's true. And Susan says, Kristine, you have more to offer others than your employer was allowing you to share. So that's
well,
good.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Let's see here. Brian says, my experience is somewhat different. Having grown up in this universe, people don't seem to jump. They get sucked into their next venture. They wind up being involved in something secondary to their day job, and that becomes all consuming. The transition is almost not felt in a lot of those cases. Yeah. I think that could be true a lot of times. Terry always jokes too about it in his screen printing classes about the fact that it's like Hotel California. Once you're in, you can never leave. Right? Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
I do think Brian is right. I mean, I know for me, if I hadn't done all the stuff that on the side, while I had the day job, which, all kudos to the day job for being secure enough to allow me to do all that stuff. I mean, obviously it benefited them too, but they didn't have to, and they did. So, so I don't know that I would say I got sucked into it, but probably a little bit.
Yeah, to say, we're glad you're here.
Well, thank you.
So, Kristine, let's talk a little bit about this. We have heard people that kind of burn the bridge a little bit when they leave a job. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think the reality is, and what people often forget, is that needs change, and people will, what I needed when I started the director of marketing job that I had in 2006 was very, very different than what I needed and wanted in 2020.
Sure.
So the idea that is still hanging around a little bit, that you start working at a place and you stay there forever and you go up through the ranks and then you retire and you get a gold watch, and, then you come back every once in a while and they say, oh, the old timer's back, that's not really necessarily how it works these days. Yeah. And, a lot of people are working remotely now. Even before the virus, a lot of people are doing their own thing and having their own business. So my feeling is always try not to burn the bridge if you can help it. But you also have to take into, like, the situation that I was in when I made the decision that I needed to go. What the company needed and wanted and what I needed and wanted were steadily diverging. And I knew this. And if I had waited it out and gone back and said, thanks, it was great, and then left, it wouldn't have made it any better or worse. So I just said, okay, I need to free them up to do what they need to do, and I need to free me up for what I need to do. No ill will. I mean, I'm grateful to Enmart and my bosses and what they allowed me to do. They gave me a platform in the start for all the stuff that I do now. But I think you need to try to do it in the classiest way you can, but be aware that maybe it's not always going to be. You also have to take into account that people who own companies and people that you work for are humans. And so even if you want it to be nice and friendly and we wish you well, for some people, it's not going to be that way.
Sure.
So, you need to if you're really sure that it's time to go, you just need to make your peace that it happens however it happens.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I mean, I totally understand that. And I think you made a really good point there in the fact that, we think that we're going to make this jump, we're going to leave, and that it's just going to be this easy peasy thing. But like you said, that they're humans too. They have a passion for their business. Their feelings are probably going to get hurt. It's a weird thing that I've experienced. You look at business and you kind of go, okay, well, business is this separate, building, there's no emotions. It's this separate thing. And so there shouldn't be emotions involved, but really business is all about emotions. It's that passion for what you do. It's the interaction between people, whether that's employees or customers or vendors or whatever. And so there's actually probably a lot more emotions involved in the business stuff that we do, because we're living that on a pretty regular basis each day. So I think that's a great point, that you just have to kind of make your peace with it. Do your part to be classy is a great word. Just there's no reason to be slinging the mud. I love that about what you're doing here. You guys were going separate ways, and instead of saying, oh, they were terrible and they did this, you're saying, hey, we're going our separate ways. I'm going to do me. I'm going to focus on me, and they can do them and focus on them.
Well, and the reality of the thing is that, I'll admit, I still have people who message me on Facebook and go, Enmart's doing this thing, or, I need to know that. And I'm like, I'm not with them anymore. You need to contact these people. And it's a bittersweet experience, because I invested a lot of time and effort, but we just weren't the way that what they needed was morphing into things that I didn't really necessarily want to do. And so it was just, no harm, no foul, but it's time to, and then, like I said, the circumstances were also, because of the virus, things were a little different. I was grounded. My doctor said, you have to self-isolate. And that just didn't work for them. And it was dragging out. And it was like, this is just going to steadily deteriorate if we don't make a decision. So, you got to
shake hands and part ways. Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to say thanks for everything. I appreciate it. But, and I'm grateful for the time that we had and the opportunities that I had because I was there. And I'm damn proud of what we built. So, excuse me, I just swore, but.
Well, let me throw in there, by the way, I'm not advocating shaking hands right now. I don't want anybody coming back and blaming me. Fist bump.
But also something that Susan said, I did have more to offer than what that role was letting me do, just because, when you're part of a company and you're repping there's constraints on things that you do and what you say. And that was also starting to pinch a little bit too.
Yeah.
So,
well, and one more thing about, and I'm sure this is true of a lot of industries, but this is a very small industry. Yeah. There's billions of dollars being exchanged out there, but the higher up you move in this industry, the smaller that pool is, and everybody knows everybody, and
everybody knows everybody.
Exactly. And if you burn a bridge, and here's an example that someone I know had a job on the East Coast, and when he got another job, he kind of made a stink when he left about airing all the laundry about what he didn't like about this company, and guess what? The new job fell through and couldn't get a job in the industry because everybody heard the story and nobody wanted that bad seed in their company. And so, it's the right thing to do is to leave in a positive way, and it can come back and bite you if you feel like you've got to make some kind of point.
Well, and the thing is, even if you do have personal feelings about various things that happened while you were working at a place, it doesn't cost you anything to be positive and to be, and the only word I can come up with is classy about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you anything to do that. Now, I mean, I have to say, when I first suggested this topic, after I did it, I went, why did you do that? Then I started thinking about it. And I thought, this is an important thing.
It is.
To talk about the fact that you can leave somewhere and they can do whatever they do or not, or say, and you can still you can live up to the highest standard of behavior for yourself.
Yeah.
I guess is what I want to say.
Yeah. That high road.
Parenthetically, I mean, I have heard nothing negative from anybody at Enmart, nothing like that. And like I said, I'm proud of what we created while I was there. I hope they have many more years of great business. I'm just not going to necessarily be a part of that. And that was harder to make that decision than you would think, but it was the right decision to make.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you've pretty much touched on this, but Kristine, what was the tipping point that spurred you to action?
Well, this is where the whole current situation comes in. Because of the virus, I had been told to self-isolate. That didn't necessarily work within the structure of what I'd been doing with the company. So there was some problems there, let's put it that way. And then there were also opportunities that maybe wouldn't have been available at other times. Like I could possibly get a forbearance on my mortgage. I could buy myself a little more time to get things going. So I could stretch my savings a little longer. There were just things that, and I applied for unemployment, honestly didn't think I would get it. it ended up working out, which was a nice, very nice surprise. But so the circumstances kind of led me to, okay, if I'm going to do it, there's no percentage in not doing it at this point, because things are not going to get any better with the current situation, at least not for the foreseeable future. So, if you're going to jump, now's the time. And honestly, it was when I actually made the decision, I expected a lot more. I expected to have a lot more fanfare about it. And I was just like, well, okay, this is what I need to do. And I wrote the letter and I said, thank you. I'm very grateful, but I think we need to be done now. And that was it.
Yeah.
Aaron can tell you where you can buy a confetti cannon if you want more fanfare.
I think I could live without. I'm really good. I don't really want to be vacuuming confetti out of my couch for the next time.
I'm actually looking around and there's still little pieces of it that I find. Yeah. So,
but I mean, for all the angst I had about doing it, when I actually pulled the trigger on it, my initial feeling was, that's done.
Yeah.
It's now whatever comes next is what comes next, but at least I'm not going, I really want to do this, but should I do this? Maybe I should. I don't know. Gee, what if, blah,
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of box will work best when I'm living in a bridge on a bridge by the river, You just kind of got to jump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if it's one of those embroidery machine boxes, those are pretty roomy.
Yeah,
so.
I was thinking a refrigerator box myself.
Yeah.
And I don't really think it'll come to that, but it really was the feeling that I had was just because, like I said, I've been ready for a while and I've had things that I wanted to do that just didn't fit into the scope of what I was doing. Mm-hmm. When I was working for somebody else. And I was just like, okay, now I can start building my own empire, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Now I can start doing some of the stuff that I really have been feeling strongly that I need to do. So You have to, and I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm not sleeping a whole lot right now either, because I'm laying in bed at night going, I wonder what kind of box would work best.
So we probably need to not think about the box anymore. Right. I mean, it is really, I think this is a really interesting subject though. Real quick though, Renee is talking about when you're leaving, it all goes back to the golden rule, treat others as you wish to be treated. And
exactly.
I think that's. But I think it's also an interesting kind of commentary on human nature is that we can find all of the reasons why it won't work super easy. That's just, like I said, keeping us up. And then we start thinking about the box we're going to live in and all this other stuff. But think about all of the, how do we get ourselves to think about all of the, here's what I can do. Here's what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. And here's why it's going to be successful. And all of the positive things, for some reason, we have a hard time finding those things, So I know we talked a little bit about purpose already, Kristine.
Sure.
Talk to us about the purpose that called you, obviously making a jump and being worried about living in a cardboard box, as we joke about here. Right. That's a scary deal, but you've made the jump. So what was that purpose that really drew you there?
Well, there were a couple of things that really kind of propelled me a little bit. Now, one was, and I don't know if this is necessarily purpose, but it's reality.
Okay.
I have health issues, and with the virus and everything, I was looking at that and I was going, the best thing for me to do is have the most flexibility, and the most flexibility is being able to work at home and support myself. That way I can stay in if I need to, I can go out if I need to, I can make that decision for me.
Sure.
So that was one thing.
Yeah. And that can be, that's a big purpose though, to be able to control that part of your life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in terms of reducing stress, in terms of being able to do what's best for me health-wise, it's huge. And that is a thing that kind of propelled me. The other thing was just, I come from a long line of teachers. And I love doing that. I also love I'm finding I like interviewing better than I like being a guest. Who knew? But I like doing that too. And the whole work that I've been doing with the Women in Garment Decoration group and all that stuff, I started looking around the industry and I was like, there are a lot of people out here who really could up their game when it comes to reaching out to the female part of the industry. And there are a lot of women who could up their game in being speakers and doing webinars and imparting their knowledge. And there's nobody out there that's really doing that. So maybe that could be me. And, you know, I've been really lucky in how well the group has done. And the more I started looking around, I was like, I could do that. I could make a difference in that way and hopefully help a lot of people in the process and make a living, which, you know, who doesn't like that?
Yeah. Oh, shit, I keep forgetting that part, Terry. We got to work on that.
We've got the content. We just, Well, Kristine, speaking of content, you've been doing a lot of writing, content creation, building these engaged groups that you have. So how has that helped you create the environment for this new job, this new career of yours?
Well, I think the Women in Garment Decoration group has been invaluable because that's I joke with them sometimes that they're my market focus group kind of thing, my marketing focus group. You know, yeah. I try the ideas out on them, but it's also a great place. I've worked really hard to make sure that it's a very safe place and people can talk about all aspects, the bad stuff, the good stuff, the sad stuff, the hard stuff, whatever it is. And the women in the group have come to trust that. So I hear a lot of stuff that it's like, wow, some of this is pretty personal and pretty deep. But it's amazing to me to have that trust. And that's one thing I'm supremely aware of, and I would never want to harm or betray or anything like that. But it gives me a great way to see maybe what the needs would be. And then another thing is just, like I said, I've been looking around the industry and I've seen a couple companies that are either trying to do women-centered initiatives or something, and they're maybe not the best, shall we say. And I look at them and I go, you know, I can see that maybe there's a need for somebody to come in who can do that for them, who already brings an audience with her. And so that kind of became the genesis of a lot of this stuff, I guess. And then the blogs and stuff, those are just fun. I mean, you know, it's just, I'm a writer. I'm going to write. I mean, I wrote my first story when I was 6. I haven't stopped since.
Nice.
When I found out that you could actually write and people would pay you money for it, I was like, this is my thing. And then I spent all my teenage years and most of my early adulthood being told, you can't do that. Most people who are writers never make any money. And I was like, well, I'm going to prove that wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and so writing's always going to be part of my thing. I've come to discover I love the podcasting part of it. I'm a ham. I'll admit it. You know, I almost wore the purple opera gloves today. So
well, those are expected tonight, by the way.
Yes, I know. I already unearthed them from where they were, and they're down here on my coffee table. So,
right. In fact, Jillian, much earlier on in the comments, was asking about the gloves and the tiara. So
I don't have a tiara yet. I need to get one.
Yeah, we'll get that. All right. Well, Tanya says talking about the Women in Garment Decorating Group, it's a super safe place and has literally been my saving grace this year.
Oh, thank you, Tanya. That means a lot.
Exclamation points. So that is good. Yeah, it's amazing watching what Tanya's doing, and you know, we were lucky enough to get her on one of the podcasts not too long ago there. So
yeah, she's going to be on Women in Business next week.
Sweet. That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I think she has a lot to say about creating a business and making it thrive while dealing with a lot of crisis because,
Sure.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Janessa wants to know if we're wearing tiaras tonight.
If you have one, I would suggest wearing it. Yes.
I don't have one yet, so now I'm feeling left out. But
Terry, you're gonna wear yours?
yeah, Terry, where's your tiara?
I do not have a tiara, but let me see what I can do at the party store.
All right, Kristine. Well, we're getting down to the end of it here, but let's talk real quick. Now that you've made the jump, and I know this is still new and fresh, but if you were to go back, to Kristine 2 months ago or something like that, what do you wish that you could tell that version of yourself about this move? What have you learned that maybe would be good information that people can use today?
First of all, do it.
Okay.
If you know it's the right thing, if you've done your homework and you know it's the right thing, just do it. Don't keep thinking about it, because the situation is never going to be perfect and you're never going to have solved all your questions and all your problems. So just make the jump. It's time to do it. The other thing, you're going to have more support than you think you will. I have been amazingly blessed with the people that have reached out to me and said, you're going to do great. I know you've got this. I'm so excited to see what you do. And if you need anything, if you need advice, if you have questions, we're here to help. I mean, it's been just, I've been really touched by it because I knew I was part of the industry, but I didn't really have as much knowledge of how many people were willing to support me, I guess. So, and the other thing too is just be realistic about how it's going to feel when you jump, because you're going to be alternately amazingly excited and totally freaked out. And those states can happen within like 5 seconds of each other, where you're like, oh, I'm so excited about this. Oh my God, and just make sure that you've done your planning. That's the other thing. I mean, I don't want to give the impression that even though how the jump happened for me was kind of abrupt, I'd been thinking about it and planning and researching and figuring things out and saving up money and doing, and getting a lot of the pieces in place for quite a while. So this wasn't like I just woke up one morning and went, well, I think I'll have a business now. Because that would be awesome, but no.
Employers all over the industry are going to be calling us up going, what the heck, guys? Everybody's getting these resignation letters today and saying, I learned this on the Two Regular Guys. They told me I should quit my job today.
Well, and the other thing I want to say about that, because this industry especially, there are a lot of people who have their own businesses, and that's kind of more the norm than most places.
Right.
There are some people for whom having their own business is just not, they don't want it. It's not a thing. They don't want to do it. And there's nothing, if you're happy working for somebody else and you're fulfilled in what you're doing and you don't feel limited, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, I'm still learning all the moving parts of just the administrative part of, figuring out health insurance, and I got to get an accountant, and what am I going to do about taxes? And, I have to get an LLC and an EIN and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, but for me, I feel like the administrative stuff I can handle, and it's worth it for the opportunity that it's giving me.
Sure.
But I also, not to be like, oh, woe is me, but I've been on my own for a long time too. So I'm pretty used to relying on me. So
right.
I've also been through some tough situations and survived them. So I have that understanding of, I can deal with things being stressful and tough and all that. So,
Sure.
You have to know yourself too. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
You have to understand who you are and what's driving you, because if you don't know that, you're just flailing around, which I've done some flailing lately, but it's been off camera, so nobody sees it.
I could see that being a pretty well watched series, though, Kristine. I'm just saying. Flailing. We can. I can see where the future of Two Regular Guys, Terry. It just came to me. I don't know.
Well, yeah, well, the flailing podcast where you just like flap around all over the place. But I think the big thing is just I mean, I hate to sound like I don't know, one of those cheesy gurus that you see, but you really have to, bottom line, you have to have belief in yourself. Because if you don't believe in you, nobody else is going to. And if you need other people to tell you that it's okay that you do this or that you can do this, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think it's got to be internal.
Yeah, I mean, not that it isn't. Please, everybody, tell me that I can do this because it's lovely. But and I appreciate the support. But at the bottom of it, you have to know somewhere in the core of everything that yes, you can make this work. Because if you don't have that, then the first time something goes wrong, you're going to be like, well, that was fun.
Yeah. And
then you're, getting fitted for a paper hat somewhere or something. And that's just, I don't even know, do they even have paper hats anymore? I don't think so, but you know what I mean.
All right, Kristine. Well, we're getting into bonus time here. So
I like bonus time.
I do like bonus time as well, because it's been fantastic information. But where can people find out about you? Where can our listeners reach out to you? How can they solicit your services? Let's get you some business here.
If you'd like to send me money.
Yes. Yeah. Can you just give us your Venmo, or how does that work?
Yeah. I'll give you my PayPal or my Stripe, and you guys can. KristineShreve.com is my home at the moment. There is a page there called How Can I Help? And that lists some of the services that I offer, and you can contact me through that. The Women in Garment Decoration Facebook group, I'm there pretty much, I'm there every day. I'll admit it. I'm there probably multiple times a day. And you can talk to me there. There's the Women in Business podcast page where you can see the podcast. I'm starting up a YouTube channel. It's under Kristine Shreve right now. If you'd like to go like that, I would really like it if you like that. How many likes can I put in one sentence? Because it needs more subscribers by like a lot. Yeah. And that's also one of the places where the Women in Business podcast is going to be airing, and other subsequent podcasts to be named later, possibly, maybe, kind of.
Cool.
I don't know for sure what they are yet, though I really want to do a podcast called The Big Podcast of Why, but I think somebody already took that, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's ways around that stuff apparently, because there's all sorts of podcasts out there that it's like, seen that before, and
yeah. Well, and I just am really discovering that I like the podcast thing. So
cool.
Like I said, ham.
Yeah, so. There we go. Well, our intrepid producer, Eric, has been putting all of the links to all of this stuff into the comments. So KristineShreve.com is the best place to start, but all sorts of, so make sure you check that out. All right, Kristine. Well, thank you so much for your time today and all the wonderful information.
You.
We will see you back here in a couple.
June 19th, I believe.
June 19th. Excellent. Perfect.
Yeah, we should probably come up with a topic for that, shouldn't we?
Yes, we should. So you know what? You've got your wonderful rock star group there, and
I have my rock star group. I'll have to ask them what we should talk about.
Yep. It's always best if Terry and I just stay out of the way of that. So we'll just throw that out there right now.
I actually would like to do a show where I had men on. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah. Well, we can always be guests,
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking, but I haven't figured it out how to make how I would work that yet. But I also am thinking about that for Women in Business. So don't be surprised if I hit you up at some point.
All right. Well, and Eric is raising his hand as well. So
Eric Eric's definitely on my list.
Yeah, the three of us could be interviewed. That'd be fun.
We can figure that out. I'll see what I can figure out.
All right.
Perfect.
Cool. Thanks,
right.
Kristine. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you tonight.
Thank you guys. So fun. And I'll see y'all later.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Cool. Terry, that was a lot of fun and a lot of great information. And yeah, I mean, it's I just think that it's so interesting to see what we go through, what, in a way, I always kind of laugh about it because I do this a ton myself, and it's what we put ourselves through,
Right.
Some other comments that came up along the way here that we didn't get a chance to get to. Renee said, there's never going to be a right time. Right. And Brian said, by the time people feel enough pressure to act, the right time has been there waiting for you. And
Aaron, at times like this, I think people are thinking even more about, maybe I should do something on my own. My screen printing classes, every time there's an economic downturn, my screen printing classes fill up. And it's people saying, I may not succeed, but it's going to be on my own dime. I'm gonna succeed or fail by my own efforts and not be have the weight of I might get laid off in my job. So.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, Terry. It's a really good point. And then if there's any accountants out there, Todd asked, if you own your own island, do you need to pay taxes? So
I think it depends on if your island is 12 miles offshore or in the middle of the Mississippi River. I think it's
it's location, I guess. All right. Well, I'm assuming Todd's asking for a friend, but speaking of that, though, Todd and I do have our eye on an island in the Bahamas that only $7 million. So, just. And then Todd said, Aaron told me I can't get into screen printing. Sorry, Terry. I've warned him about how messy it is. So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, screen printers. Okay, please don't. All right. Well, Terry, a couple other events here or just kind of updates here from our side here. Let me share what Eric's got going on. First and foremost, thanks, Eric, for awesome job again today. Eric's Demystifying Next Level Digitizing webinar is now in recorded form. He talks about better running, bolder, more beautiful embroidery with a faster cycle from concept to completion. So you can get access to Eric's webinar over at bit.ly/Eric DD, and that's ERICH DD. So make sure you get that H in there, Eric with an HDD. So check that out. Also, make sure that more great content coming up later today at 2:30 Mountain Time. That'd be 1:30 your time, Terry.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Mountain Daylight Time as opposed to Mountain Standard Time.
See, this is where you totally confuse me. So 3:30 Central Time, 4:30 Eastern Time. So Eric's show, The Take Up, and he does that all on his own. So without a producer, that's how amazing he is at it. So anyhow, today he's going to be, it's all about the jargon of design and embroidery. So always good conversation, always fun to watch, and try to catch that. If you'll just head over to Eric's Facebook page at facebook.com/Eric.Campbell, and that's ERICH.Campbell. You should be able to check that out. Plus the link is right here in the notes, so you can click on that. Terry, what about you? I know, as you said, there are a lot of eraser marks on your book. What's what's in it?
Well, coming up as of right now, my complete screen printing business course going to be at Workhorse Products in Phoenix, August 22nd and 23rd. And I will be at the Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago, September 19th and 20th. And of course, all my 2020 classes and events you can find at terrycombs.com under the tab tour dates, and always updating that.
Yes, ever changing, right?
Exactly. How about you, Aaron?
Just remind people to check out oursuccessgroup.com. Talked about it at the top. We are midway through the business planning series right now, and so you can still check that out over at oursuccessgroup.com and get to be a part of that. Going back to where we talked about determining your why, we talked about the people. This last Wednesday, we went through the process of goal setting and tracking that and kind of making it so we know where we're headed with our business. And so really good feedback, a really great community over there at oursuccessgroup.com. And then the thing I'm working on the most today, as I'm trying to get it live, is we've got a new program called the Success Tracker program. And basically we've discovered that a lot of businesses, and this really came from ourselves, is the need for some accountability, the need to, say, we talked about it today, need to jump. Well, okay, I need to jump, but if there's not something that's kind of pushing me onto that tipping point. So same thing with our businesses. We need to do this, so for me, I needed to get the Success Tracker up. And until I put a date on it, which is actually today, I said I'd have it up by. That's why I'm going to be feverishly working on it. It's about the movement. So that's what this Success Tracker program is all about. You sign up for it. You're going to have accountability. You're going to have people celebrating you, and you're going to get some fun swag along the way as you reach your milestones and reaching your goals. So so look for that. I'm hoping to have that up and available on the website later today, and we'll get that information out there. And then the last thing I wanted to share with everybody is we have moved away from the Blog Talk Radio Apple Podcast feed. And in fact, this particular program will be exclusively on the new feed. So if you, well, I guess if you're listening to this, you won't even know the difference, but
you've already made the jump.
You've already made the jump. So yes. So here we go. If you're hearing this on podcast, you're on the right feed. So there we go. But for others out there that are listening through Facebook or whatever, just go over to tworegularguys.com/Apple. And that'll get you to the new feed that you need to be subscribed to for Apple Podcasts. So there we go, Terry.
Fantastic.
Is that enough? Did we get enough bonus time in today?
I think so. And you've got a big project to work on, so we shouldn't even be in bonus time.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, Terry, we've come to the close of another show, and always the saddest time of the day, but we really appreciate Kristine's time, a great friend of the show. We are so excited that she's taken on this new role and career, and boy, super proud of her. And so make sure that you're getting over there to KristineShreve.com, and just go into the what can I help with, I think is what it was the link. Maybe I'm missing that. Let me scroll back up. Sorry. Well, Eric will put it up there. Just get to KristineShreve.com, and there we go. Thank you. How can I help? And just put it in there. Maybe you don't know exactly, but just say, hey, here's what I'm faced with. Can you help? And my guess is, knowing Kristine, she probably can. So
exactly right.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron, we also want to thank show producer Eric Campbell, and you can find him at ericcampbell.com with an H, Eric. And we also want to thank our sponsor, Impressions Expo. Yes.
Next week, Terry. So next week's show was supposed to be live from Dax, Minnesota, and obviously we're pretty sure that's not happening. Otherwise, I'm going to be jumping in a car somehow. But no. So next week's show, we had an idea, and I just have to go back through our chats to come up with. Oh, you know what? It just came to me. Next week's show, we're going to talk about niche markets. We haven't done that in a very long time. So next week's show will be niche markets, and we'll probably have a nice slant on it as it relates to the current situation. So
right, exactly right.
And getting that done. So that will be next week's show. So tune in Friday at 10 a.m. Central Time to check that out.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody tonight at the cocktail party. So until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Aaron Montgomery.
And we are the Two Regular Guys. Thank you for listening to Two Regular Guys. Check out our website at tworegularguys.com. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. You can also interact with us over at our Facebook page, facebook.com/tworegularguys, or send us a tweet, twitter.com/tworegularguys. And we have a YouTube page. You can find all that from our website, tworegularguys.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to spending some time with you again next week.